First of all, thank you, Jess. That was awesome. Really cool to see your story. Now, unlike Jess, I wasn't getting 100% on my statistics classes in psychology, but I was the kind of student who didn't prepare, and so I don't have any slides for you tonight. But I want to give you guys a bit of an insight. I want to make this a bit more of a quick fire session. Obviously, a lot of you guys are here because you're interested in social media and how to use social media to build a business. So, because so much of our brand is social media, it's really the face of our business. I want to tell you a little bit about Trefiel, how we've grown, how we've used social media, and a few of the practical lessons that we've learned along the way, and the kind of things that maybe you can use in your enterprises. So, first of all, guys, a little bit about Trefiel and Lucy and I. Lucy and I started Trefiel 18 months ago. At the time, I was working for a tech startup while studying part-time here at Deakin. Lucy was working remote for a startup in the US, and we decided, hey, why don't we do our own thing? A few things led to another, and a lot of research and trials, and we started our brand. When we originally started the company, Lucy and I are both gypsies at heart. We both lived out of 7-kilogram backpacks and traveled around. So we wanted to build something that we could run our business and build it online without having to be stuck in one location. Now, neither of us thought of the fact that, hey, we're selling a physical product, someone's going to have to ship the thing. But anyway, we started the business, and for us, social media was an amazing way for us to connect directly with our customers and to really build a brand and have that two-way conversation. So I'm going to talk a bit more about how we used that to get to know our customers and develop the brand and our products. As far as where we are now, the things that we're focusing on, obviously after Christmas we had a big period and it was a big time for growth for us. As far as our product, I'm going to show you guys what we do. This here is one of our face masks. So we sell lace hydrogel anti-aging face masks. And this is our product here at the moment. We're already in talks with some suppliers at bringing out an expanded skincare line, which is in the works, and lots of research and development going into that. We obviously do the face masks, and one of the things that came about after running the brand for about 6 or 9 months was, what our masks are. Yes, they're a skincare product, but what they represent for our customers, but most of all for Lucy, it's 30 minutes of me time. It's a chance to take time out from your everyday life, and for the modern day woman, life is really, really busy. And the mask is a great way to have 30 minutes each week, whether you're a mom, whether you're trying to get 100% on your stats exams, whether you're doing whatever, the mask is what that represents, both for us and for our customers. So that's why we brought out our little Pamper Club, where we put a few extra gifts to make the Pamper session a bit more special, and that's one of our main things at the moment. So that's what we do, that's what we produce as far as a business. As far as, obviously I mentioned we're looking at moving more into skincare. As far as what we want to do as a brand, we want to do everything that we can to empower our customers, to help them get more out of life, to help them take time out and look after themselves. A huge part of our brand is me time and self-care. And while this was important to begin with, it's only become more and more important the more that we've talked to our customers and the more that the business has gotten busier and we've realized how important it is. So it's not just something that we use to sell, it's actually at the very core of how we live our lives. And I think that has had a large, it's made it a lot easier to use that as part of our brand because it is something that we really care about and is really important to us. So I'm going to talk about how we've used social media and how that's had a big part in our strategy. But overall, I think for us as a business, Trefiel is a social business. As I mentioned, all our main channels are through social media. So our Instagram is how we first started. It's still our main channel. Our Facebook is growing, and we use Snapchat a lot. Each of those channels we use differently, and I'll explain how we use those and how to choose the channel right for your business. But I think the biggest factor I would say if you're looking at social media to grow a business is that social media is about telling a story. Social media is about is about talking to your customers and telling them, just as Jess said, who are the founders? What's the story behind the brand? Where do they come from? What's really important? What's behind the product? And I think there's a lot of brands out there these days. Customers and consumers are looking to connect more with a story behind a brand and some meaning. And social media is the best way that we know to get that story out there. So that's a little bit about us. And who we are and what we're doing. As far as a team, we have a few contractors now. We have a fully remote team. We have assistants and contractors all over the world. And we're almost back at being gypsies and traveling around while we manage the business. So, social media. Why use social media and how to think about it overall? I've got notes here, so I'm going to go off these. So, as I mentioned just before, social media is about a real conversation with your followers. It's very easy when you're using advertising and putting something on a billboard to sell a value proposition, say, hey, here's our product, here's something that's going to get you in and buy. Social media, you can definitely do that, but if you want to succeed on social media, you have to tell a story. You have to have something that your customers can connect with. You have to give them something that helps them get to know you. Rather than having a very slick message and something that looks very professional, sometimes it's far more effective to, be honest, and rather than talking and putting on a show and trying to be super professional, the best thing you can be on social media is to be real. It also helps if people, if you're good on camera and you know how to talk, that definitely helps. But one thing that people lack in this world where everything's on the internet and everything's online is human connection. And social media is a way to bridge that gap and act as a conduit to help your customers get to know you and your mission. Of course, it really helps if you have a mission. So it's probably good that, A, for your own sanity as you build and grow a business, but B, because it's going to help you a lot when marketing the business and understanding where you need to take it. It's super, super important to have a mission and an end goal and something that you want to create with your business. Yes, you may sell a physical product. Yes, you may sell something as a guide that you don't use that often, although I am looking at using more self-care, trust me. But it's really important that you can get behind the mission and what you're really selling and what's really important to you. As far as social media and connecting with your customers, there has to be an identity there behind your brand that your customers can connect with. There might be people, so I'm not into knitting, but there are forums with millions of people on there who all care about knitting and creating things and sewing, and I'm not really that interested. The beauty of the internet and social media is that there are people everywhere out there in such small niches, and they can build huge followings now. And if you have a specific area that you are interested in, that you care about, and that you have things to share about, people can and will find you and can, become loyal followers who really care about what you're saying. It's really, really important to have something that your followers can identify with, and that most importantly is real and authentic. Another thing with social media, a lot of people use social media as a tool to outreach and reach customers and reach followers and send a message out without realizing that if you want to be successful in social media, it's all about having, responding to your customers, asking questions, having a two-way conversation. It's just like a human conversation. It's just using technology so that you can talk, instead of talking to one person, you can talk to 500 people in the first minute that you post something, and millions, over the course of 12 months or longer. So the biggest thing is, if you want to use social media, and not just in social media, but your business in general, you have to provide value. You have to provide your followers value. Now, this could be an amazing product. This could be, tips on how to study. This could just be information, or even just entertainment. There's a lot of huge, I'm sure many people here are familiar with those big Facebook pages that share lots and lots of videos, that share just shareable content. It's just straight entertainment, but those followers get value from that. And so you always need to make sure that whatever you put out there, you're providing value to the customer, because why on earth would they care about following you unless they're getting something of value from it? And it's just like that in real life as well. So the benefits and the costs of social media. I'm going to break these down. The benefits of social media, and this is in context of comparing it to traditional media. Social media, you get to tell your unique story, and you get to tell it in the way that you want to tell it. There's nothing more human than hopping on Snapchat and someone's had a really long day, and they just, You can see how they feel. It's like if your partner comes home after work and they're tired. That same sort of feeling, you can't communicate through an ad. You can't communicate through an email. Social media allows you to communicate with emotion and allows people to actually connect with you. And it's so, so important that when you broadcast yourself and when you talk to your customers and your followers, that you are connecting on an emotional level, on a human level. It's really the difference between people coming back and getting to know you and whether they just scroll straight past you in your feed, if they even see you there. Yeah, if you want their enthusiasm, if you want them to be loyal and to actually them to get to know you, and more importantly, you to get to know them, you have to be real, you have to be human, it has to be two ways. Secondly, social media, you have to tell stories. Blasting your message at people instead of involving and conversing back and forth with them doesn't work on social media. That is what TV is for, or that is what billboards are for, but it doesn't build a loyal following with your customers and your followers. It's super, super critical that you tell human stories, even if it's about, wow, guys, today we had a terrible time, we've been struggling today, things are tough. People resonate with that. It's amazing the amount of support that you can get when you tell people how things are really going, and people love to help. You'd be amazed just by asking and just by telling people how things really are, people will get behind you, because everybody has felt like that at a certain time, and when they see you feeling that, it helps them feel connection. It helps build that bond with you and say, hey, it's just another human being. They're doing something really cool. I'm going to get behind them. Another thing, it's not called social media for nothing. It's social. It's all about stories and about people. So social media, I just touched on this about when she first started her YouTube channel. She used the analytics in the back end of YouTube to understand who her followers were, who her most loyal followers were, where they were based, what videos and keywords that they were most interested in. Using social media gives you a huge amount of data that you can use to understand your customers and your followers. Yes, you can use this data to target them using advertising or to tweak your messaging, but most of all, it helps you understand who's most resonating with your product and how you can better iterate your products and offer more value that is going to really hit the sweet spot with the people who you're trying to target. Really, really valuable. And again, this really comes down to having that two-way conversation where you have to listen. Can give you a huge amount of data. And finally, social media gives you the ability to create and control the image that is going out to the world. It gives you control over your personal brand and allows you to tweak it as you go. If you sell a product and that product goes through a large retail store, you have very little control over the messaging that goes out there and how your brand is represented to customers, and even if it is going to be represented. Using social media, you can start to develop a direct relationship straight to your customer without having to go through middlemen or having to use outdated media that just doesn't really cut through. So that's a lot of the positives. The costs, I wouldn't call them negatives. Social media, as much as everyone can make use of it, depending on how you want to run your business and whether you like using social media, it may not be for everyone. Social media really brings value once you build a community. But if you're not really putting in the effort to build that community, it can drain resources and you can be left wondering, how do people do it? I'm posting all these things, but nothing's happening. It's so, so valuable that you put the time and the resources in to build that base, and you encourage people to share your brand, to share your community with others. It's critical if you want a return on investment. And also, if you're marketing to other businesses, if you're trying to sell to a large multinational corporation like a market research company, social media probably isn't going to be the best way to reach your customer. Understanding who your customer is and why they need your product and where they spend their time is going to be the best way for you to figure out, right, what's the best way, the best channel for me to reach them. For some businesses, social media won't be the first or even the fifth option, and depending on your business, it's going to affect which channels you should choose as well. So, you have to dedicate resources to have conversations. You can't just blast content out. You have to be active and stay active on your channel. You can't just post for a month, not get results, and then just abandon it for a month. The algorithm behind Facebook and Instagram and all those channels works so that you need continued engagement. If you stop posting or you stop posting engaging content, people will stop listening, and the algorithm will adjust, and you'll no longer appear in their newsfeed. attention is a very valuable and scarce resource, and it's really important that you remain active and keep providing value to keep people interested. Now, I've already mentioned that you have to always provide value, and as far as getting value out of social media, the better that your brand is and the more of a connection that your customers and followers have with you, the more value you will get out of social media. The more you focus on your brand and the story behind it, the more people will be able to get behind it. People love when others have a crack, especially if you're a young entrepreneur and you're starting from nothing and you have a story that anyone can get behind. It's going to be far more effective for you if there's the story there. So, choosing the right social media channels. So, this largely comes down to the business that you already have, the product that you have, and understanding where your strengths are as far as the kinds of content you create. If you really struggle on camera, and as much as you can learn, if you really struggle on camera but you feel that you're much better at designing and taking photos, maybe Instagram is going to be better for you. It's going to be much more suited to your skill set, and if you're just the only person, you really need to work around your skills at the time in the beginning. If you are, it's important to understand the demographics behind each user base of each social media channel. Instagram is very, skewed towards women. It's quite a young audience, although now the 30 to 35 plus range is the fastest growing area. But it's really good to get a very good understanding of all the social media channels and know which one is going to be the best for reaching your target customer. For us, our product really resonates with women between the ages of around 24 to 40. That's where the vast majority of our customers are. So Instagram for us is an obvious no-brainer. It's very much skewed towards women, and that age range is where the largest amount of people are, so it makes sense for us. As we're starting to move towards an older market, Facebook is really starting to pay dividends for us because there's a lot of older women there, and the style of content that we put out works really well on Facebook as well. So it's really, really important to understand the kinds of user base, the kinds of content that gets shared on each platform. If you're really good on camera and very entertaining, Snapchat's probably going to be a great thing for you. Likewise with Instagram stories, and of course YouTube. Very, very important that you understand which channel is going to be the best for you. Also, I've already spoken about how important it is to engage directly with your customers. The more engaging your content as a form, the better. Video is going to be the most engaging way that you can connect with your customers, bar none. Most of the social media platforms, their algorithms vastly favor video, particularly Facebook. If you're looking to build a business based on Facebook, you have to be looking at producing video content. It's so much more powerful than any other form on Facebook. It just has to be part of the strategy. Now, if producing videos isn't going to be your thing, but you can do photography and really beautiful photography, then Instagram is going to be more up your alley. So it's just about figuring out which ones are going to work for you in your business. So as far as building a following on your platform, so I'm going to talk from a lot of experience for us as Trefiel. Our main following is on Instagram, and it's the one that we spent the most time building. I think the first point for us is that when you're starting at 0 followers and you're trying to build a community and you're just doing whatever you can to build followers, because that number is really, really important at the beginning. You've got to have people listening. The biggest thing is you've just got to do the work. Growing your audience from nothing takes time. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of manual effort, and you have to be willing to spend hours and hours and hours on your phone scrolling, adding people, following people, and really understanding what people are interested in and how you can connect with them. It's a fantastic way to do customer research and to understand your target demographic, and it's crucial at the beginning that you do a bunch of this. If you are not into social media, get a partner who is. Just kidding. Lucy does most of our social media. She does an amazing job. She spends so much time on her phone, and as much as she doesn't want to be addicted to her phone, she is. But it's so important for us to engage with our customers and to find, certain groups of people who our masks will resonate with. It's critical. You have to be willing to do the work, spend the time on there if you want to grow from nothing. Later on, if you want to get contractors in, great. But the value for you is going to be in market research, and it's crucial that you do it at least at some point. For For Instagram, hashtags are pretty important. Not necessarily because putting hashtags on your posts are going to suddenly give you an influx of followers, but it can be a great way to find other communities that are similar to yours or are the same of yours, which has a lot of customers, a lot of engaged people who you think will resonate with your brand. Hashtags can be, a great way to find specific niches where there's a bunch of really, really passionate people who could get behind your brand and your product or your movement. A good example of this, there's an Australian personal trainer called Kayla Etsinas. She has a very large following. Her BBG girls are borderline fanatical. Some people would call it a cult, but her following is so passionate because, what she's done, she's a normal Australian woman who has got into the gym and started bettering her life and helping others to do so. And she got into Instagram quite early, so her following is enormous now, but her followers are so fanatical. And she's worked really hard to make sure that she engages really strongly. That image of her of being, just an ordinary woman is so important for why her followers are so engaged, because they don't see that she's just some Instagram girl in a bikini. She's a real woman and someone who they can get to know and connect with, and someone who understands them. But finding communities like hers with very engaged followers can be a great way to find an initial demographic or a group of people and to connect with them about your product and to see how they go. And if they really like the product, they're very likely to share it on social media with their friends, and that gives you social proof because they're recommending it to their friends, and it also gives you more potential customers, more reach. Very, very invaluable. Another thing that's really important when you're just starting out, you need to find aspirational brands. You need to find other communities who you really think they're doing a great job, who you respect. Respect is really, really important. If you wouldn't want to hang out with the person, or you don't think that you could actually say, hey, I actually follow this person, I like them a lot, they probably don't have a strong a community or at least something to connect with for you. It's really, really important that when you're early, to learn from those who have done it before and to take stock of what they're doing. It's much, much easier to learn from people who are doing it and doing it successfully than to start from square one. Social media isn't particularly hard as far as the skill ceiling. It just takes a lot of time to get to know your customers and to get to know what you do. And if you can shortcut that and look at other brands and see what's working, see which types of posts work best, spend time to do the research, and it will save you months and months and help you grow far, far faster. Very, very important. As far as engaging once you already have customers, whatever you can do to encourage your customers. So let's say someone comes to our Trefiel store, they buy our product. Now, most of them will probably come from social media just because that's how we find most of our customers, or they find us. As soon as they make a purchase, we have a thank you page where we ask where they found us. We ask them what their biggest skin concerns are. So we ask them about themselves. Right after they've made a purchase, they are, the most, hot, if you would say. They're the warmest leads because they've already just bought from you. They're excited about getting their product. Now you can ask them about themselves. You can start to collect data and go, why have you bought the product? What brought you to the brand and the product most? And then you can use that to tailor your marketing and the kinds of content you produce. Collecting data is so important, especially at the beginning stages, because there's a dozen different ways that you could go, and the more data that you can collect earlier, the far faster that you can hone in on a valuable segment. And if that provides you the first 6 months of growth, that can be crucial for you ever getting off the ground. Once you've sort of mastered that channel or understand that, then you can expand out, but you have to find at least one channel when you first start to get going and build momentum and start to understand what it is that really resonates with your customers. So as far as incentivizing your customers once they land on your thank you page, we then have a chain where we encourage them to connect with us on social media, so that they can get to know us a bit better and become more loyal customers, and hopefully because they want to, but also because then they're more likely to share what we're doing. They might be on their phone and their friend is next to them and say, oh, who's that? Check out this cool guy who always rags on his co-founder Lucy, etc., etc. So really, really valuable that you encourage people to connect with you and create shareable content and incentivize them to share you. Maybe they share that they've just purchased something from you. Maybe you give them a coupon code that they can give to their friends and they'll earn points or discounts. All of these things are great ideas. There's systems built into all the main e-commerce platforms and blogging platforms that you can easily do this with. It's just a matter of being smart about it and making sure that the value proposition for the customer is strong enough so that they will want to share you. And of course that your brand is actually great. It always helps. The better your brand, the more people want to be a part of it. Now, this is social media, but it's also if you're good at writing ads and you understand a bit of analytics and how to sell a product in a few lines, Facebook and Instagram ads, AdWords can all be really valuable tools to reach new customers. In the beginning, it's really hard to reach out to new segments and new customers when you have nothing in between. No friend who is recommending them. And Facebook and Instagram ads are a great way not only to reach new customers, but if you are set up on Facebook and Instagram, you're going to get spillover of people then going to your page, following you, getting to know you a bit more, and it can be a great way. The targeting within Facebook advertising is crazy, super, super powerful. You can target people with kids between the age of 0 and 12 months who drive a Kia and have had it for more than 3 years. It's crazy. Use those tools if you're confident in how you can write your ads. And generally, you want to write ads that get people to buy your product. I would advise against using the ones that build likes on your page. Just a little recommendation. So, as far as giving things away, a lot of people do loops, do competitions, do things where they give things away to their Instagram or to their social media followers. These can all be really powerful. It can generate a good amount of buzz, particularly if you execute it well and the value proposition is strong. But make sure that whenever you're giving something away for free, you're getting value in return. This could be as simple as making sure that they follow your profile and that they tag a friend on your post or something like that. The main thing that you need to make sure is it's not a bad thing to give things away, but you should also be willing to ask and say, hey, in order for you to get this, I ask for this in return. This could be if they want an ebook on your website, you just need their email, and then you can talk to them after that. All of these things, don't be afraid to ask and to require something when you give something away for free. The stronger your brand is, the more this will work, and the more they won't mind being a part of it. Most of all with social media, and this is the biggest thing that I would say, and Jess touched on and has been super important for her, always be yourself. Choose to be yourself and be real and tell the real story. Of course, you're not going to tell, maybe not the whole story of everything that's going on in your life, but really try and connect and, as if it's maybe not your mum on the other end, because you wouldn't tell her everything, but one of your best friends, someone who you want to share things with, someone who you want to connect with and sigh, and both when the times are good and when they're bad. And don't be afraid to say thank you. If things are going really well, say, look guys, thank you so much. Do things for them. Give things away, even if it's after they've helped you build something. So guys, that covers a lot of the stuff for social media in general. How are we going for time? We're almost out. I am going to touch on influencers just because it can be a really good way to build a brand, and it's something that most companies that have strong social medias will use. We've used it quite a bit. Influencers can be really hit and miss. Generally, 90% of the time, it's miss rather than hit. The way that social media, I'm going to use Instagram as an example here. So for anyone who's unfamiliar with influencers, these are people with a lot of followers on their social accounts, a lot of people who watch what they do, and ideally that they have a lot of influencers. Not all people online who have a lot of followers are equal, and this ties into your brand as well. If someone has a lot of followers, let's say someone has 500,000 followers, they might have a lot of people who like their followers. They may be fake followers, you don't know. If you want to pick good influencers, I'm going to fire off a few things for the people who are familiar. If you're choosing for people who you want to promote your product, first things first, you want to choose people who you respect. You want to choose people who you actually enjoy following and listening to, and people who, if they say, hey, I like this product, it's great, and I actually mean it, who you believe and who you would actually go, you know what, I actually think they're telling the truth here, because if you don't believe it, no one else who's following them will. Try and pick people who are regular people. They don't necessarily have to be, someone who's going to the shops every day and doesn't do cool things, but how they interact with you, provided they interact with you as a person, it's super, super important. Does the influencer respond back to the comments and the things people ask of them? A really great way to tell, how much influence someone has, look at their likes and comments. That will tell you 10% of the picture. Most importantly, look at the content of those comments. Look at whether the influencer is responding back to the people. Do people ask questions and say, oh, I saw you said this on Snapchat. What do you think about this product or this and this? If it's just people saying, oh, great pick, or, if I like it. If it's just crap, they have no influence. And the vast majority of people with a large following, even at 10,000, have no influence. So if you want to use influencers, make sure it's the exceptions to the rule. If you don't feel it in your gut where you say, hey, this person's actually really cool and I would want them to be a brand ambassador, I'm not just trying to flog a product with them, but I want them to come on board, then pursue them. Don't waste your time. The whole influencer market is totally overinflated, and influencers are getting paid huge amounts of money by brands throwing money at them. There's very few of them who actually get a return on investment now, so choose wisely. And if they believe in what you're doing and your brand is strong, it's going to be far easier to get them on board and actually have them sell your product, and from a place of belief. We always, when we work with influencers, we make sure that they like the product. If they don't, we don't work with them, because we only want ambassadors. It's so, so important. One other point, the influencers who you work with early will define your initial customer base. So when you have 0 customers and you decide, all right, we need to get this off the ground, we're going to engage some influencers to do some product reviews or to talk about our product, it's so, so important that you are aware that whoever those first customers are, those will define your brand for, maybe the first 6 months, maybe forever. For us, a lot of our initial customers very much into fitness, very much into personal training, lots of people from the Gold Coast, which is where I'm originally from, and a huge bulk of our customer base is still that segment. So be very, I wouldn't necessarily say be careful with who you choose, because in the beginning, any customer is a customer, but just be aware that whoever your initial customers are, you need to start tailoring your content to those customers. So if you think that I can get a few sales, but I don't want to market to these people at all, don't bother. Try and market to the people who are going to stick with you and who are going to resonate with the content that you plan to produce. That's all I'm going to say about influencers overall. I'm going to give you guys a few quick examples of things that we've done, just because practical advice and practical experience has so much value. There's so many blog posts that you can read about ideas. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of the things we do and how we use social media to make that happen. So with our Hydro Mask, you'll see somewhere here, when we get these printed, there's a few different colors. Now, some of these get printed slightly offset, and the gold and the white is slightly offset. The product inside is perfect. It's still good to use. It's exactly the same. It's just the presentation. For us, we have 2 options. We could either, get rid of those or give them to family members, which we do. The other alternative is what we do is we go on Snapchat and we say, guys, we've got a bunch of masks that haven't been printed correctly. They're all exactly the same as you'd buy through our store, but we have like 100 masks here that we don't want to sell at full price because they're not to the level that we want to put out. But because they're still good, we're going to put them in our store. We call them the Oops Hydro Masks, and we just have one product. It's lucky dips, so we say, if you want to buy some masks, hop in there. You won't get a specific formula because we have 4 formulas, but these are just a mismatch of everything. And we basically say, guys, if you want to buy them, they're there now, and we will sell, over $500 of product in a night just from our loyal Snapchatters. Now, not only does this give them value because it's like, they've already tried the product, they know that it's a good product. Who cares if it's off? They understand why we're doing it. We're giving them a cheaper price. We usually give them about 30% off when we do it. And it also means that they're rewarded for following us and engaging closely with us. Because they're on Snapchat and they're following us closely, they get to see the deal before anyone else, and they feel like they actually got to win something, which is great. And people go bananas on this. They actually, one girl bought 20 of these Oops Hydro masks when if she had have bought our 10 mask packs, she would have actually saved money. So, because there's an offer and she loves the masks, and maybe our website could be better for her to know that they're there, but because she loves our masks and it's like, hey, let's do it, that sense of urgency, she bought 20 of them. So really, really powerful. Another thing that we've done, using competitions, getting people to tag their friends. This is pretty straightforward. You can find out heaps of different examples online. One thing that we do is really encourage user-generated content. When you're early on, it's really hard to tell people that, hey, people have used our products and haven't died. You should buy it too. And by encouraging user-generated content, encouraging them to post pictures of them using the mask, you can help show other people who might be on the fence and say, hey, look, these people are using it. They have, hopefully you have great reviews. And it takes a lot of that anxiety away from when you first see a brand. It's like, okay, they're small. I like what they're doing, but I'm not quite sure I want to jump in. By having that user-generated content, A, it shows that other people are actually using the product, and B, it shows that they're courageous enough to actually share them using the product. And that's really, really important. It shows that the person sharing the content want to be a part of that brand, and that they're open to saying, yeah, I use Trefiel Hydro masks. I think they're awesome. You should use them too. And we reward that by, initially we would give them a free mask for every post. This is when we first launched. Anyone who made a social media post, we would say, we'll send you another mask on your next order. And that way too, it makes sure that they order again. One thing also to do with influencers, when we first started, we engaged a bunch of micro-influencers who we basically gave them free product for them to post a review on their social media. And when we were first starting out, this was super valuable in showing people that, hey, people have used our product. It gave us a lot of customer photos to use so that we could then repost that, of course, with permission. And it really helped to get the ball rolling and give our brand social proof. It's not a bad thing if you don't have a large following, provided that you're growing and people see that you're doing something cool. People are happy to get on board with something early. Some people require a little bit more convincing than others, and this is where those posts come in. But provided that you haven't been there for 6 months and you've still got 17 followers, 3 of which are your mum and her friends, people don't mind getting in early. You just have to sell, and be honest about where you are as a business and where you want to go. One last example that I want to use, which is a little bit more in depth, but it sort of gives you an idea of how you can pair social media with the whole picture. Each month we give away, and this is the last one, I promise, we sell these are a subscription product. Sometimes we sell them as a standalone box when we have a special one. So for Christmas we had a special one which you could buy on its own, and also for Valentine's Day. So every month we do a campaign around a theme. Last month it was Galentine's. So we named the box Be My Galentine Box. And most of our email, most of our social media was around, hey, be our Galentine. Guys suck. They don't buy you flowers. Guilty. And exactly. Lucy designed it from experience because she knows that girls do Valentine's way better than guys. And that was part of our strategy. It's like, hey, girls do it better than guys. And that's the thing. The story is real. We're telling it from how it really is, as much as it's sad. And so what we did is we ran a competition on Facebook. Instagram's our strongest social media platform. We have about 20,000. Still quite small, but it's our strongest at the moment. And we're growing our Facebook. And we ran the competition on our Facebook page. We made a post saying, hey, we're giving away one Be My Galentine box. Now, just to give you a bit of an idea of what this is worth, the retail price is $42 on a subscription. So it doesn't really cost us much to give one of these away. We made a post on Facebook. The requirements of the competition was that you tag a friend, your bestie, someone who you'd want to share your Galentine's night with, and then you share in the comment your ultimate girls' night in. So how would you want to spend your Galentine's night? And we posted that on Facebook. We then advertised it on our other social media channels and through our email marketing to get people over to Facebook. They had to like our Facebook page. They had to tag a friend, get their friend onto our Facebook page, and then tell us what was their ultimate girls' night in. We then used Facebook ads to boost this post. We only spent about $100 on it, and that got more people who weren't already following us involved. And then, with that $100, and after about a week of our own customers and followers commenting on that, we had 449 comments on the post. And every one of these comments was someone tagging their bestie, someone who would probably, if anyone's going to believe you when you say you love a product, it's going to be your bestie, and they might have even seen you using the product before, and then what their ultimate girls night in is. Now for us, so much of our brand is around me time. It's around how to use the masks, how to get the most out of them, and how to take time out and care for yourself. And that gave us so much data. We have 449 comments of people telling us how they would love to use our mask. A lot of them from experience, previous customers who have used our mask before, and a lot of people who are new, and that gave us a huge amount of data about, when we market this Pamper Kit, what does it mean? What is the real value? What are people really buying? And so now, using all that data, we can now use that to inform our next marketing campaigns to say, what do we want to sell here? We had a lot of people say they want to sit in bed and watch Netflix. So we can now target people, and a lot of certain shows. So we can now use Facebook ads to target people who like a certain show. There's so much data in there that we can use to now understand who our customers are, what they're interested in, and then find other people who are like them who probably share their interests. So using things like that can be super, super powerful, and it can become extra powerful when you use a bunch of different channels together. That's all from me. Yeah, let's do the panel.